Hey nerds, I will be doing a review and breakdown of And Just Like That, Season 3, Episode 2, starting now. Welcome back to the Nerd Social. I am Colin. I apologize for the lateness of this review and breakdown. I've been in the process of moving into a new place. So the title of this episode is called The Rat Race, and the spoiler-free log line of this episode is Carrie has difficulty interpreting Aidan's messages. Seema reluctantly agrees to see a matchmaker. Charlotte wants to give her children an advantage in college applications. The episode is written by Julie Rottenberg and Elisa Zuritsky, and the episode is directed by Michael Patrick King. So my spoiler-free thoughts regarding this episode is there's a lot of setup for the rest of the season, especially with Carrie's ongoing storyline with Aidan, which was really interesting back in season 2 and also now going into season 3. Miranda's storyline is fairly consistent regarding her dating exploits, which causes a few laughs here and there. Charlotte has another weekly comedic exploit. She's been serving as almost like a first world problem comic relief, but this time she is dragging Lisa along for the ride. I wonder also if anyone can match Seema's lifestyle, because she is a very hard puzzle to solve, and you will see why that is the case in this episode. In terms of rating, I would give this episode a 7 out of 10, which is a dinner party. I hear from people that is not as good as the original. I can definitely see why that is the case, because I started to rewatch some of the original Sex and the City episodes with my wife. Like I said last week, the show is watchable if you're interested in the continuing trials and tribulations of Carrie, Miranda, and Charlotte. But I am more interested in the storylines of Lisa and Seema as the prominent women of color in the show. Unfortunately, we lost Miranda's professor. I'm not sure if she's going to be back in season 3, but maybe she makes an appearance. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts on episode 2. If you'd like to hear more about what I have to say on And Just Like That and other content we put out there, please like, share, and subscribe for more. We really appreciate your support as we are growing very rapidly on all of our social media platforms. Spoilers ahead for And Just Like That, Season 3, Episode 2. Here we go. So we start off with a meeting of an individual that we saw in season 2, Carrie, at the beginning of this episode, looking as stunning as ever, going to a bar, meeting up with Lisette. Lisette was the downstairs neighbor of Carrie. And so there's definitely a very good connection, because it's almost as though Carrie is now the seasoned veteran and Lisette is just starting off in her dating process. So you wonder whether or not you want to learn more about Lisette and whether or not things have changed since the original Sex and the City. It doesn't seem as though that's the case, because like I said, I watched some of the original episodes and it's pretty much the same thing as it was 25 years ago. There's this dating scene and how men and women think. It's really interesting character study overall. And it'd be interesting to see how Lisette reacts to dating in the year 2025 compared to back when Carrie, Miranda, Charlotte, and Samantha were back in 1998. As I said in the spoiler-free part, Charlotte and Lisa are devastated to find out that one of the parents started using an outside consultant for college admissions. And so here's a very funny moment where the both of them go to the principal of the private school that their children are attending and saying, what the heck is going on? I thought that was not cool for them to do, because we have a very good college counselor in our school. Why do you permit that to happen? Having been in that space before, when I was living in New York, I think that it's definitely highly competitive, and there's always an edge that you want to get in terms of the best. And this goes back to the title, The Rat Race, because you definitely can see there's a lot of that going on, competing with other parents and also having their kids compete with the other parents' kids. So in that sense, it definitely is a rat race. They were able to find out where this famed college consultant was actually at a baseball game where her son was playing. And so both Lisa and Charlotte were able to convince her to take some time with their children to try to see if they are college material. It's a very big competition that happens within these private schools. As for Carrie, we find out that she is very lonely. Aidan makes a surprise appearance back at her place after she complained that there were rats in her garden. And so there's also a back and forth between them in terms of what she thinks is a viable item for the house. And Aidan put a thumbs down emoji, which really triggered Carrie and trying to rethink what their relationship is like. And they're still working through it to find out what is the best way possible. I think that there was definitely some good communication that happened between the two to figure out what are the boundaries. And I think that Carrie was very uncertain as to what Aidan's boundaries were because of the tragedy that happened to his son at the time. He just wants to spend more time with his son, and Carrie wants to keep her distance so that Aidan can tend to his family. As for Miranda, we saw in the last episode, she had a fling with a nun. Here in this episode, she was very interested in a waitress that turned out to be married with kids. They talked about a bisexual reality show. It reminded me of Love Island, which is happening right now as well. So I've been watching Love Island during this time. And she's the type of woman that would talk down about reality shows, but she ended up being sucked into that vortex of reality TV. And so she was able to strike a conversation with the waitress who was preparing the avocados. And so they ended up not being together. But although there is a potential mate for Miranda as the BBC correspondent that works with her. So we don't know whether or not she's able to be successful. That's something to look forward to in subsequent episodes. We also find out in a very small storyline that Anthony has opened up a Hot Fellas bakery. And here Charlotte is very amazed, and Anthony feels as though he's been left out. And funny enough that the store is very close to the school where Charlotte's daughter Lily is attending. Seema, on the other hand, has some issues in terms of having broken up with Ravi in the last episode, still trying to find out what's going on. Her boss is very concerned about her exploits. So her boss basically hired a matchmaker who's portrayed by Sherry O'Terry from SNL fame. And so it's a very funny interaction between the two. And it's also very funny where Seema was all in pastels and was very agreeable and pleasing to a date. However, that date ended up going to the bathroom and leaving. And so Seema is really, in a sense, a victim of our own success. And so there's definitely a group of women that are out there in today's society where they feel as though they are very accomplished with their careers. They have everything that they want, but what they're lacking is someone to share a bed with and share laughs with. Seema is really in that mode where she's very cynical about it, and that she has figured it all out about men, but she's unable to have someone. So it'll be very interesting to find out whether or not there is someone out there that is able to match her tenacity, her style. Some people might call masculine energy. We're not really sure as to how that's going to play out. Maybe there is someone out there for her, but it'll be fascinating to find out who that mystery man might be. As for Lily here, Lily has her own love life, being infatuated with the ballet dancer Diego. And so she was caught kissing Diego by her mother. And it was very interesting, the interaction between Lily and her mother. Lily is playing a role of the spoiled brat. When I saw it, I was like, what the hell's going on? My wife was very upset that why would Lily talk to her mom that way? I think with a lot of the younger generation, that's typical teenager stuff as well. But I think it's much more amplified with the advent of social media going on. In this scene here, Lily and Herbert Jr., Lisa's son, had a one-on-one with the college consultant, and basically the college consultant picked them apart. And so she's freaking out as to what she can do in order to get into a good college. Such is the life of a high school student, love and also trying to get into college. This was of the garden before it was torn apart by Ernesto, the building super. The rats were coming in. Part of the title of this episode, The Rat Race, is attributed to the rats infesting Carrie's garden. Toward the end of the episode, she ends up finding this guy named Adam, who's a pretty attractive guy and is probably available for. And so he was able to also rescue her cat, Shu, from the streets. A lot of speculation online as to whether or not this is the new relationship that's going to happen. So we'll see how Carrie reacts to this and whether or not Adam is really interested, or this is just going to be one of the flings that's going to go on while Aidan is away. And finally, I would have to point out, in the first 2 episodes, Shu is definitely my favorite character. You just want to hold him and be with him at all times. I do also have a cat. He's 5 years old. Shu really looks like my cat, really brings it out for me in a lot of ways. So that is the breakdown of And Just Like That, Season 3, Episode 2. Tell us what you think about this episode and about the whole series overall by commenting down below. Like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. And we will see you next video. All right. Take care, everybody.